look at a basic site selection use case. So as you can see here, I have already created a map session with some of the relevant layers that we would be using to demonstrate this. So as you can see here, I have 6 locations here. You can think of these as existing locations in the city of Pune. And I want to sort of identify new localities where opening new branches or expanding my current branch network would make sense. So for that, first, I am going to look at the competitive landscape. So I have a layer called the competitive landscape. And as you can see here, once I've turned it on, all my primary competitors have their locations have been visualized here. So as you can see here, there's an area in the northern part of the city where a lot of my competitors are present, but I am yet to venture out into those localities. And same is the case over here on the northeastern part of the city, where many of my competitors are already present, whereas I am yet to venture out into those areas. Now, in the next step, I want to actually look at like how close or how far off am I from my competitors. So let's say I want to identify all my competitors that are present within a 2 kilometer radius from my existing stores. So for that, I'm going to make use of the different vector processing tools that are here. So I'm going to go and look for a tool called Buffer. Once I do that, it's asking me for the layer, right? So in this case, want to create a layer around, I want to create a buffer around my locations. So I'm going to choose that. From the units, I'm going to choose kilometers. And let's say I want to create a 2 kilometer buffer. I'm going to go ahead and choose the all data option here. Once I have done that, as you can see here, these 2 kilometer buffers have been created around all my current locations. I'm going to go ahead and save this layer as a permanent layer, and I'm going to name it buffer underscore 2 kilometer. Once I hit the save data button, what this basically does is it creates a layer. As you can see here, there's a notification buffer 2 kilometer is created successfully, and this has been processed as well. Now, what this basically means is the new buffer 2 kilometer layer, the new polygon layer has been processed and it has been added as a map session as a layer into the same map session, right? Now, in the next step, I'm going to use some filtering capabilities that we have in Map Reveal to identify, which of the competitors are actually falling within 2 kilometer buffer from my existing locations. So for that, I'm going to go for the filter option from here. So we have 2 ways of doing this. Two ways of creating, of filtering different data sets. So one could be in the form of, let's say I create a SQL-based query and run it on any of the attribute of any of the layers. But for this particular use case, I'm going to go ahead and create a spatial query. So I'm going to go for select by location. Now here, it's basically asking me like which layer is it that I want to select features from. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the competitive landscape layer. Now it's asking me for the spatial relationship type. So I'm going to go ahead and since I want to identify which of my customers are within that 2 kilometer buffer that I just created, so I'm going to go ahead with the within geometric predicate. In the next layer, it's asking me for the reference layer. So I'm going to go ahead and choose buffer 2 kilometer as the reference layer. Once I hit the submit button, the tool the filter essentially runs, and it has identified that 44 out of those 88 primary competitors are within a 2 kilometer distance from where my existing locations are. And as you can see here on the left hand side, these are those 44 results that have sort of satisfied this spatial query. Now I have again the option to either save this permanently and add it as a new layer, or I have the option to also export it. If I want to create, let's say, a shapefile or a GeoJSON or a CSV, I can do it from here so that I can share it offline with my extended teammates. Now, going back to the analysis, I have also created some drive time isochrones. So I'm going to turn off the buffer layer for now. There is a catchment area by drive time tool here, which can be used to create drive time isochrones. And as you can see here on the screen, these are essentially 5 and 10-minute drive time isochrones around my existing locations. I can further see that, these areas are really outside of the purview of my current locations at the moment. Like people living in this area are essentially not, like, I'm not servicing these areas at the moment. Now, to further validate that analysis, I can go ahead and turn on the mobility index layer. So as you can see here, the red colored heat map that you see on the screen are essentially mobility data points observed on a typical Saturday. So this basically gives an indication of how busy, or what is the typical activity pattern observed in that particular area. So as you can see here, there's significant footfall in this particular area, which basically means that maybe this is a district center or maybe a local shopping center or something of that sort. So this is in a way how quickly you can do a very basic site selection analysis from within MapReveal. Thanks for watching. Hi. So in this video today, we are going to look at a typical custom application that we have developed for a client from the BFSI banking sector. And this basically is to show you how a custom application can be developed on top of MapReveal. So this is primarily intended towards those customers who would rather prefer to have some fixed analysis modules readily prepared and sort of served on a platter for them, rather than them actually accessing the application itself and doing the analysis themselves. So as you can see here, this is essentially a micro markets analytics portal designed for relationship managers who typically have 2 to 3 urban pin codes within their jurisdiction. Now, this is what the front-end UI looks like. Once the login credentials are entered, they have the option to choose the PIN code of interest. So let's say in this case, I'm going to go with 201301. So once I hit the sign in button, you can see that this is a very basic front-end application that we have designed. So on the left-hand side, you have different analytical modules.